business owners are really busy. So we understand as the Redbridge Chamber of Commerce that not everyone's able to attend our meetings in person. That's why we have our online meetings. My name's Anthony from the Redbridge Chamber of Commerce. We exist to connect the 14,000 plus businesses in the London Borough of Redbridge. We do these online meetings that members can get a platform where they can speak, share, and teach. We also do these meetings that we can find out a little bit more about the people that come to our meetings and those that are unable to attend our meetings. I see that Chris has joined. I'm not sure if Chris is going to be able to talk or not, but if you can, Chris, happy to hear from you.
Go.
Oh, there you go.
Hello.
How are you, Chris?
Yeah, I'm good. I've had a really good day so far. So, yeah.
Excellent.
Excited to join.
So, one of our speakers was unable to make it. So, it's me and you, but we're going to be going through a couple things, and you're probably one of the best people to have simply because you're so knowledgeable. And like me, you can freestyle. So, that's always a good thing. Have you had a chance to enjoy the good weather?
Yeah, well, I did a half marathon in Edinburgh on Sunday, which was pretty warm. So I don't know if enjoy is the right word, but we had some lovely days in Edinburgh. And at the moment, at home, I'm lamenting not having any air conditioning because it's getting hot in my office.
Oh, yes. And I love your office. In fact, some of the stuff that I've done with mine was inspired by you. So some of the stuff you see in the background was inspired by when we did our podcast. Hey, Anna, how
I appreciate that.
Hi. All right, so we're going to kick off. What I'm going to be doing is going through a few things that I have been hearing from people as I'm out and about. So yesterday, the retail group hit the streets of South Woodford to just meet up with business owners, get some feedback, because as a chamber member, we want to make sure that you have a voice. So as I said, my name is Anthony Lindsay, and this is the Redbridge Chamber of Commerce online meeting. I'm going to go through the 3 mistakes that businesses make. So Chris, I will be calling on you, and Anna, if you want to add anything, you're more than happy to add something. But the first thing is no plan or a poor plan. So a lot of people, when they're starting a business, they either over plan or under plan. So the first thing I'll look at is just talking about over planning. So you have people that get caught up in what we call analysis paralysis. I wrote a LinkedIn post recently about the fact that talk is the halfway point between a thought and an action. So some people get so caught up in the planning, researching, looking at this, looking at that they never get into the point of implementation. So no planning and poor planning are both bad ways to start a business. However, if you just get caught in the analysis phase and never actually start your business, that is as bad as having no plan. And I think that some people do this because they don't actually want to start the business. It's like the person that does the research for the exercise bike or the gym membership that never actually ends up going to the gym or exercising. It's a similar thing. Is that you? What were you showing me, Chris?
The exercise bike that was well researched is occasionally used.
But yeah, that's one of those things, because sometimes we feel like we've accomplished something just by doing the research. But until you hop on the bike, until you actually go down to the gym, you won't make a meaningful change. Or the poor planning. So this is kind of the other end of the spectrum. This is when you have someone that either doesn't plan at all or they plan poorly. This could be because they don't have the right people around them. Anna, I know that you support people and you support businesses. So I'd like to hear from you. Do you ever work with people that either overplan or underplan?
Yes. Is the over planning and can be either, and literally is encourage people to take the action, as you say. It is planning in our heads. We have our plans in our heads, but never really leave her. So it's just actioning them. So yes, I think it's a common, and it's something I experience myself.
Yeah, it is easy to, and so it's not like you're one or the other. You can be at a phase where you're over planning, and then another part of your business, you can be where you're not planning at all. So the sweet spot is the middle. The sweet spot is where you assess things, you are pragmatic, you do the research, but you then take action. Because until you take your product or your service to market, you don't really fully understand what you need to do, because quite often you speak to family and friends and they're so encouraging and they'll give you advice and give you guidance, and then you take it to market and your real customers are like, nah, don't need this, or this is how you could iterate. So when you take your product to market, that's when you can get the feedback, you can iterate, and you can make the changes that you need to make. So another thing that I find with new businesses, startups, and even people that are already in business is the wrong focus. This happens a lot online, and it happens with startups. And this is what I usually see. And you, both Chris and Annie, you may have seen this online where someone is saying, I'm going to start a business. Here are 3 examples of my logo. Which one do you think is best? So they get so caught up in the logo, in the tagline, in the minutia of starting the business. They're focused on the things that are usually what I call the sexy things. So the things that, you know, you can put online and get clicks about. But when you ask them, do you have a CRM? Have you created a client avatar? Have you talked or thought about your marketing budget? Have you set up your website, not just the look of it, but what are your key products? You know, what is it? What is your unique selling point? So the focus isn't usually on those things unless that's the person's thing, because we all have a thing as business owners that we're good at and we enjoy doing. And the other bits we then try to ignore by spending all of our time doing those things that we enjoy doing. I'd be interested to hear from you, Chris, because I know that you work with people around customer experience. What have you seen around this area of the wrong focus?
Yeah, it's really easy to do.
Oh, we lost you. Anna, can you hear? Can you hear Chris? Was it? Oh, yeah, we lost you. We heard the first bit. You said it's really easy. No, we still can't hear. Anna, do you want to add anything while we're waiting for Chris?
How about now?
There he is. Yeah, we got you back.
It's always good when the guy that works with this technology can't get the technology to work when it's on his head, isn't it? I think it's really easy to focus on the wrong things. I was quite lucky when I started. I was networking, and there was a web designer who also did logos and everything as one package, and it meant I could have easily got lost designing logos because you want, to your point, it's the sexy thing. You want the brand to look right. And actually, I said a couple of things I wanted to him, and within a week he'd done all of that and had like websites ready for me and all that kind of thing. So I think it's, yeah, by all means make it a focus, but it shouldn't be your primary, and like use your network as well of what you can do. Just because you can design a logo on Fiverr doesn't mean you should. And it's the same for getting everything in line in terms of your comms and things. So making sure, and I know I said this at East London, but like don't have your mobile number be the point of entry for everyone. Now, you know, get yourself a business number, get yourself a business WhatsApp number, do that kind of thing. Make sure that you've got avenues of entry. Make sure your LinkedIn is up to date.
Yeah.
If your LinkedIn still says that you work somewhere else, then people are going to pass you by. So it's actually having a look at that stuff and potentially using AI to help. So use something along the lines of Claude to say, right, I'm pivoting into this. What does my profile say about me now? What do I need to look at there? But you're right in that you need to focus on the things that are actually going to bring revenue as well, and getting out there. And I know when you were saying about wrong plan, no plan, focusing on the wrong things, we sometimes focus on what's comfortable for us. So for me, that will be study and learning. So if I'm like, well, I'm getting these certifications, so that's good, but it's only good if I then got the pipeline to go and address what I've just learned.
Yeah. And I think your session at the expo was so packed with so many things. We've started to drip feed some of the stuff on the YouTube channel, but one of the things that I noticed with you, and I'm not sure if you were you led on this, or the person that you just mentioned gave you guidance on this, but your branding is really good and it's consistent, it's clean. And when I see those colors, because you even had the trainers on, didn't you? When I see those colors, I naturally think of you and your product. So did you get help with that, or was that something that you just led on?
I said I like green. You can see it with the specs as well. It's it's one of the colors that kind of as a ginger kind of works for me sometimes. Let's be honest. And Georgia, my wife and partner of a business, can't stand green, but she likes purple. So I gave all of that to the designer, and that's why you'll see, majority of stuff is green and white, and then there'll be some purple and green, and it all kind of just blends together. But it's also a case of keeping it really simple. So again, I worked with people who ran YouTube channels and said, this is the thumbnail I'm looking at, what should I do? And they're like, do this, do that, change what you're doing there. And just not being afraid. I think sometimes when we do this, we think that we know best because we're the one running our business, but actually there's so much expertise that, speak to those people because they also know best.
Yeah. And I like what you also mentioned today and at the expo about using the technology. Now, one of the things that I'm going to say is my pet peeve with people, and I experienced this when I was a bank manager. So I was in retail banking at the time when they were introducing the instant pay-in machine. So the machine where you can put the money in and it counts it for you and it does all of those things for you. And we'd have clients or customers come in and there'd be a long line to speak to a cashier. And then you have this IDM machine that they could use. And so part of the targets that that we had as a branch was utilization of the machines. And we also had another competing target was wait time. So if customers were waiting too long, so the IDM was supposed to help them with the wait time. So I'd send my staff out and say, listen, when someone comes in, offer to support them with the machine. One of the first pieces of pushback that people would give us is, oh no, we don't want to use the machine because people are going to lose jobs. It's going to take over your job. Why would you want to do that? Not knowing that if we don't get you to use it, we're going to lose our job anyway because we're not going to hit our targets. But then the other thing that people would say to me is, oh, I'm not good with technology. So this is just an introduction to the point that I want to make. Do not tell yourself that you're not good with technology, especially when it comes to AI, because the technology that we're dealing with now, and hopefully you'll attest to this, Chris and Anna, you can speak to it. So it's not like 20, 30 years ago where, Microsoft DOS was out and, you got the thing and there was a book this big to do anything. With AI, you can literally speak to it, or you can just type in the question. I think the way you ask questions is important, but I do deal with a lot of people who just tell themselves or keep repeating, I'm not good with technology. And if they take the time, they'd actually get it. So going back to the bank, those same people would say they're not good with technology, but had an iPhone. And I'm like, the instant pay-in machine is just a few buttons. But I realized, and this is where we always, when we're dealing with people, have to understand what the underlying issue is, what the root cause issue is. It wasn't that they were afraid of the technology. It was actually that if they use the machine and they pay in and something goes wrong, they're responsible. Whereas if they pay in with a cashier and something goes wrong, they can blame the cashier. But it doesn't make any logical sense because the instant pay-in machine isn't worried about, their cat being sick at home, didn't have an argument with their spouse the night before, doesn't hate their job. So the likelihood of something going wrong with the pay-in machine was a lot lower, but they had a limiting belief that something might go wrong. And if something does go wrong, I want to be able to blame somebody. But I'd encourage everybody, use AI. And at the expo, Chris, you did do something with a QR code and
Yep.
a bot. Explain what you did.
So to your point, I think as when consumers start using the technology, it becomes easier for us as businesses. So we've all been talking to Siri and Google and things for years now. We maybe want to get kinder to it, but one of the things I like to do is put the technology in people's hands so that they can play with it. So at the show and at the event in June, I'm going to have a couple of QR codes where you can call and where you can chat, and you can just have conversations and see how they go, see where they take you. And one of the reasons I do that is I'll put together some demos. So I put one together for Bridgie for the East London event, and it wasn't the official bot. It was never meant to be, but the idea was you could go to it and ask it questions. But sometimes I'll just create something completely bonkers to show people how it's possible. So I'll create one in the image of Barry Venison, the former Liverpool player who had a mullet, and it was all about magnificent hair, and you could ask it what haircut should I get and tell me the haircuts that Beckham had and all that kind of stuff. And it's weirdly, the moment you take it out of what the customer's needs are into let's just play, let's be kids with this, let's ask silly questions, it democratizes the technology and makes it a lot more accessible.
That's really good. And that is actually what got me using ChatGPT. So my brother-in-law is a data scientist, and this was at the very, very, very early days of ChatGPT, and he kept like nagging me saying that I needed to start using it. I was like, no, no, no. And he did exactly what you did. He knows that I'm into rap. And he essentially just wrote a prompt saying, write a rap about Anthony in the style of Drake. And it just spat it out. I was sold. From that point, I was sold. So that's a good way of introducing people and helping them get over their limiting beliefs. So Anna, if you don't mind, I'd like to bring you in. What is your experience with AI, and do you use it in your business currently?
My experience, a bit like you, what you say is, I can do it. Think of me, I can try. So I'm using it, and in a way, I wouldn't been able to do what I'm doing now if I'm not using AI. So it's literally building the confidence and testing it, but also being aware of not losing my voice, because I'm writing, I'm a writer, publisher, publishing a book and publish content. So is this having the support, but at the same time maintaining and ensuring that is my voice and what I really want to communicate. So yes, encourage people to use it and choose whichever platform is best. But yes, and I'm using it all the time for content.
Okay, and if you could just tell us, for those people who don't know about your business, could you just tell us a little bit about your business and how you help business owners?
Yeah, I am mental and emotional resilience coach, and health and well-being has been my interest, and really this idea of importance of taking care of ourselves, both as in at all levels. And I concentrate more on accountability, because we plan things and we get all the good intentions and things, but we get so wrapped up in what needs to be done on a day-to-day basis that we forget. We make promises and we forget. So I concentrate on over 50s, the baby boomers and the over 50s, and literally just making sure that people do keep their promises and they they're accountable. So it's coaching and mentoring, but very much in the health and well-being and how can we take care of ourselves.
That's excellent. And that's very important, because quite often people are so focused on building their business and, connecting and going out there and just hustling, that they forget that your health is actually your wealth, which brings us on to one of the other key points that I want to go over, some of the mistakes that some business owners make, outsourcing or not outsourcing. As you'll see, there's a theme with a lot of the topics that I cover off, in that each extreme is bad. The beauty and the balance and the magic is in the middle. So outsourcing. So I deal with business owners all the time who are either startups or already in business and don't understand the fundamentals of their own business. So this could be someone who's starting a business, they're online, they're on social media. And as soon as you start letting people know that you're starting a business, everybody wants to sell you a service. Everybody can give you that one thing that's going to help you get up and running. And everyone presents their service as if that one thing is the silver bullet to your business. So you have a startup or an existing business owner who has outsourced their design, they've outsourced their marketing, they've outsourced their sales, they've outsourced their accounting, and they are now dependent on each of those individuals because they still don't understand the fundamentals of their business. So one of the taglines that I have for my consultancy is your business should be scalable, sustainable, repeatable, and franchisable. So repeatable is where the outsourcing piece comes in. It's making sure that you could repeat your business. So you could start a new business because you understand the fundamentals of accounting, of sales, of marketing enough that when you are employing someone to support you with those services, you won't be easily misled. So some people over outsource. So, you have to understand the basics. And some people, and this tends to be the other end of the spectrum, everything about their business is in their head. So when they die, their business dies. When they're sick, their business is sick. So they're not outsourcing some of the smaller tasks. And as we were just talking about with AI, outsourcing those tasks could be like what Chris suggested with the bots. It can be outsourcing it using technology. But at some point, you have to have systems. So you can't just run a business based on waking up every morning and doing things. You should have systems in place, and those systems should be broken down and documented in a way that I think it's the E-Myth where they talk about, your systems and your processes should be able to be done by someone with a McDonald's level skill set. And that's not saying anything negative about McDonald's, but your systems and your processes should be documented in a way that, for example, we now have the government who's really big on apprenticeship schemes and work experience. And I know here in Redbridge, there is some funding towards people who are starting businesses and want to hire people from Redbridge. But if you don't have your systems documented, even if you could get a staff member, how are you going to onboard them? How are you going to explain what they need to do? So you might miss out on the opportunity of being able to actually take advantage of some of the great benefits that you have of being a part of the Redbridge Chamber of Commerce, but also some of the government schemes that are in place. So in summary, over outsourcing is not good. Make sure you understand the fundamentals and you have a handle on things. But you should also look at a point where you understand the fundamentals well enough. And for whatever product or service you're providing, there will be a segment of the process that you essentially manage. So you have processes that you manage, but you understand what's going on in other parts of your business. Did either Anna or Chris want to add anything to that?
Yeah, I think one of my mentors a couple of years ago said to me, and it was a new concept to me. I was learning about moving up the ladder and things, and he said, "Are you working in the business or on the business?" And I had that myself, in that my son came to work with me after university, and at the time I was consulting 5 days a week. So the time that I could dedicate to his learning wasn't there, which means he, like an apprentice, didn't get the best out of me. Which he's moved on, and he actually realized he wanted to work in music, and customer experience and telecoms are very different to that. But I was very aware I was spending so much time in the business, and that's very difficult because that's revenue coming in.
Yeah.
But to take a step back and then work on your business and look at strategy, look at training, look at marketing, look at networking, is really important as well.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that's also from the E-Myth, if I'm not mistaken. But yeah, you have to work on your business. So you have to have time that you've protected to be strategic, where you're not doing a thing, you're looking at numbers, you're looking at customer feedback, you're looking at iterations, because business moves really fast and people's needs change constantly. And if you're not somehow capturing customer feedback proactively, not just waiting for someone to say a thing, but actually having a channel that people know they can give you feedback. And I grew up in the States. So I think, the way that I handle feedback and customer service is very different in that all feedback is useful, even if it's bad, even if someone is saying you're a horrible mortgage broker, even though no one ever says that. But the feedback is also useful because if you can understand why they think the thing, you can get to the root cause. And it may just be that you haven't built an effective client avatar. So a client avatar is essentially a view or an overview or description of a customer that you want to target. You should be building a client avatar around your ideal client. So your ideal client is someone who values your service, who will pay the cost of your service, and also will be an advocate for you and what you do. So if you have the right client avatar, you will attract the right clients. And those good clients will attract other good clients. Another mistake that a lot of new businesses make is they figure anyone who can pay them is their client. And that often comes from a lack of confidence, because when you're first getting started, you're like, why would anyone buy from me? And another consequence of that is people tend to underprice their product. So they underprice the product. They're in a race to the bottom instead of pricing their product to attract the type of clients that they want, because good clients will attract good clients. Bad clients who don't want to pay for your service or give you bad reviews or don't want to pay, as I said, I've noticed the people that find your service too expensive, even if you provide the service to them, they're the most work. If you've priced your product properly, if you've built the right type of client avatar and market to those ideal clients, you'll get what you feel you're worth, and those people will value it. And more importantly, they won't be hard work. They won't be hard work. I see you shaking your head, Chris. Or nodding your, oh, we lost you again.
I'm doing well with technology today. I think it is difficult of like knowing and having that confidence and believing in yourself to pitch. I think there are times where I'll have pricing conversations, and I'll be like, well, I think this is the rate, and actually we'll have a further discussion like internally and go, well, if that's the rate you want, that's not the rate you offer, because there's always negotiations. So you have to, and also if you know that you're good, and that's the difficult thing. I think to your point, there's a lot of imposter syndrome, even when you set up on your own, of are you good enough to achieve this service? So it's having that confidence in yourself. If you've done this for a reason, so you do need to believe in yourself and make it happen.
That's a great point. And the imposter syndrome, I experience that a lot. Anna, do some of your clients, did they suffer from imposter syndrome? And if so, how do you support them?
Yes, imposter syndrome, all the questions and all the questions we ask ourselves. Yes, it's really an internal job. Gaining confidence is very important. And in fact, one of the things that I have recently with a client, where basically there is trust. You have to build the trust. And also being able to say, for instance, I said, I'm not going to see you next because of the accountability. No, let's not organize the next session until you actually do what you promised you would do. And that really gives confidence, because he might not come back, or he might say, oh, perhaps, I won't do it. But it is confidence, and it's just managing, I suppose, the internal dialogue. But yes, both for myself and people, the imposter syndrome is a very big, no, it's not a big, it's a challenge.
Yeah, and I think that self-talk is so important, and having the right people around you. So it, as with everything, it's the balance. You don't want people that tell you everything you do is great. So you don't want yes men, but you also don't want the vortex of negativity around you. People that just drain your energy and are just negative. What you need, and maybe it's a set of people. So I know that I have different groups of people and different people that I go to for different things. So I know I have a group of people or some individuals who are good sounding boards. So they're good listeners. I'm processing and formulating an idea, and I can go to them and they can allow me to hear myself say the thing. And that's important. But then you also need the person that's going to help you deconstruct the idea and say, well, have you thought about this? Have you thought about that? But in a way that doesn't take the energy out of it. Because I do have certain people in my life that no matter what you tell them, all they see is the negativity in it. And it's not even from a point of analysis. It's because of their self-doubt. So they kind of project that onto you. But the self-talk is something that we need to manage and can be addressed by recognizing that what we say in our mind is not necessarily correct, and we can often make bigger things out of things. And also making sure that we manage it, but also making sure that we have the right people around us to help support us with that. So someone like Anna, you're talking about accountability, and that is so important.
Something else I'd just like to mention that has really helps me, and I support clients doing that, is to be able to fairly regularly to be able to look at things objectively and literally how we feel and the interpretation and reaction. So literally just spending a few minutes, whether it's on a weekly basis or whatever, but looking at what do I offer, what is important, literally writing down, so seeing things objectively, and then distinguish what is actually going on, the fears and the doubts and all the rest. And what I find that really helps me to build the confidence. So, but it's something which is a routine, which can really be very, very helpful.
That is fantastic, because writing things down makes it more real, and then you can't lie to yourself and say you didn't say or think a particular thing. So that is very helpful. And I love the accountability side of things. And one of the things you said a while ago, it just shows me that you know what you're doing and you have confidence in yourself, putting it back in their court, and they may not come back. So when you say, well, look, I've invested time and I've supported you, and that's my job, but at some point you have to do your bit. And this is probably, if you read any of my LinkedIn posts, I talk a lot about what I call the gurus and the experts, because it's so easy in today's world to go on a 7-day course and then build social media and act like you're an expert at everything. But I've had people contact me to sell me a service, and I'm not saying I know everything, but you should know more about your service or your vertical than I do, especially if you're trying to charge me $2,000 a month for it. But not everybody has that. But having the confidence to say, look, the product or service that I provide, the coaching or training, is just one of many things that you're going to need to do. There is no silver bullet. There is no way that you can do or work with just one person and it fixes everything, which is why you do need to understand first and foremost what it is you're trying to accomplish. But when you do work with someone, they should be realistic with you. They should say, look, I can make you accountable. I can give you the tools. I can give you everything you need to do what you need to do, but you need to do your part. And unless you're going to do your part, a true professional will say, look, we've come this far. You need to take the next few steps before we pick it up and go further in. So Anna, I like that. And I think that's a very refreshing thing to hear, because some people, they just want to keep someone on the hook, and they'll keep, doing the things knowing that unless they do what they're supposed to do, they'll never be successful.
I have had another interesting example where I thought to myself, goodness, I've been supporting someone who has to manage their debts. There have been, financial issues, and then said to me, oh, I can't really afford to pay you. And I said, hold on. The more you delay what you're supposed to do, the more you are incurring costs anyway. So why don't you just do what I say you should do, pay me, and you will be able to cover the cost of my fees, but you're not having to spend money in fee, extra charges. So it was literally, there is this inconsistencies, and sometimes people don't do things they could really say, and they're thinking, I don't want to talk to you until you actually sort out what you need to sort out, because that will allow you to pay me anyway. So it's extremely interesting to see how people react and how to encourage people to take the actions that will make a difference to their own example, their own circumstances.
That's a really great point. It's that cognitive dissonance. It's that, you are giving them the solution, but quite often people are afraid of success, but they don't realize it. They've been in a specific mind state for so long that it's crystallized. And by you giving them the solution, they can no longer now say they don't know the solution. And I've worked in finance for 30 years, and I did debt collections for about 10 of those years. And what you've said is so true. In fact, I had a client yesterday that I was doing a product with, and I had to say the exact same thing. I had to say, well, look, I'm giving you a solution. All of the things that you have been doing have put you in this position. Until you do this thing, you'll continue to be in that position. And even like when we talk about debt consolidation, I have clients who have, some £20,000 on credit cards, which is, for these people, it's a high proportion of their income. And I'm saying, well, look, you could take the £20,000 you already owe and consolidate it onto a lower interest rate. And they're afraid to do that because they're not processing the fact that they're not borrowing more money. They're just transferring that revolving credit onto something that is at a lower interest rate and has a fixed end date. But by doing that, they have to face the fact that they have a spending problem, because once they clear those credit cards and there's zero balance again, and they're managing that debt, I think maybe sometimes they're just afraid that they're going to run the credit cards up again. So we're going to just go through some of the member benefits. As I said, we do these online meetings because not everyone can come to our in-person meetings that we have once a month, and also to give people and our members an opportunity to share about what they do and for us to just talk. So as a member of the Redbridge Chamber of Commerce, you get to host and speak at our events. And I know that Anna exhibited at our expo, and Chris spoke at the expo as well. And he'll also be speaking at our business conference, which is on the 10th of June. So we're looking forward to that. Because if you're running a business, one of the best things you can do is establish yourself as a key person of influence. And for some reason, you being on a stage or you holding a microphone establishes you as a key person of influence. So we give our members an opportunity to speak at our events monthly, to host events, and also to exhibit at events. And that's all part of our paid membership. We do have a free membership, but our paid membership, which is £150 a year, £12.50 a month, would give you the opportunity to do that. And as I said, you can also exhibit at our events. So exhibiting gives you an opportunity to hear what the market is saying. So our monthly meetings have on average between 90 and 110 people. That's our monthly meetings. Our quarterly events have about 300 people. And then our annual business expo, which takes place March of each year, has about 400 to 550 people. But by exhibiting, you can capture some great shots, some great video. You can get feedback from clients. If you're launching a new product, it's a good way of getting feedback and getting some testing and doing some marketing. We have subcommittees because the fact is, Chris deals with customer experience. Anna, she deals with coaching and people over 50. Those are two different needs. There may be some crossover, but what we have is some subgroups where people who are in retail are in a subgroup. People who are Gen Z are in a subgroup. People who are in finance and property are in a subgroup, because each vertical is going to have unique needs. So we give people the opportunity to collaborate with each other. It's somewhat similar to how BNI works, but unlike BNI, we don't have exclusivity in that we can have more than one person that's a broker, or more than one person that does customer experience. But by collaborating, you'll understand that there is no competition if everybody works together. As they say, a rising tide lifts all boats. So the subcommittees, once you become a member of the Redbridge Chamber of Commerce and we understand a little bit about your business, will give you the opportunity to join one of the subgroups or subcommittees. That way you can speak to other people that have similar skill sets and you can help each other grow your business. So what we encourage people to do is, at very least, come to one of the meetings. Our meetings are on the second Wednesday of each month. We meet at different locations throughout Redbridge. And once a quarter, we have a business conference. Our next business conference is on June 10th, and that's taking place at Redbridge Town Hall. We encourage people to follow us on LinkedIn, on Eventbrite, YouTube, Instagram, and TikTok. We're just getting Instagram and TikTok up and running. But the key place to know everything that's happening in the Redbridge Chamber of Commerce would be on Eventbrite. And we're quite active on LinkedIn as well. And I will say, I think, if I'm correct, Chris, did we meet through LinkedIn or no?
I'm trying to think. My previous company, we exhibited at the 2024 East London event.
Yes.
And I don't know how I found that, but I suspect it might have been LinkedIn. Yeah.
Yeah. And Anna, I met you through Dave, who Dave also attended one of the expos that might have come about through LinkedIn. So that's not to talk about me. It's
his face is on that slide, nice and big at the back.
Oh yeah, it sure is. It sure is. So that is Dave. And this is actually a photo from the East London Business Expo. Where are you? Oh yeah, you're in the back in the green by the Redbridge sign. I see you
Yep.
now. Yeah.
Well.
And where's Anna? Are you in the photo?
Just
in the middle.
Under the X on the X.
Yeah, you are.
I'm there as well.
Just next to real Dave.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah. So, we encourage our members to participate and engage. The organization is member-led. So if you are doing an event or if you're doing a presentation, we want to support you. So we will help promote those events as member events. And we just want to make sure that we are out and about talking to businesses, finding out what their needs are, connecting people. I'm going to give you an opportunity to just do a quick overview, Chris, of what you do. And Anna, I know you have as well, but just a quick overview, and you can tell people how to get in contact with you. And what I'll do is in the description of the video, I'll also add that. So my name is Anthony. I'm from the Redbridge Chamber of Commerce. As I said, we're here to connect the 14,000 plus businesses in the London Borough of Redbridge. These are two of our members. We have Chris and Anna, and I'm going to just have Chris just give a quick overview of who he is, what he does, how he helps businesses, and how you can get in contact with him.
So Chris Holt from Holt CX Consultancy. I help businesses of all sizes to easily communicate with their customers through telephony and customer experience solutions. And one of those primary tools now is a virtual assistant, which can sit on top of anything. So you can be answering calls and queries, maybe not even calls, maybe messages 24/7 without it needing to ring your mobile. You can now take calls when you want to, for example. Easiest place to find me is on LinkedIn. I also have a YouTube channel where you can find all kinds of demonstrations of the technology I work with.
Thank you. And Chris will be speaking at our business conference on June 10th. The 3 key topics for June are corporate and social responsibility, online and digital, and finance, alternative finance for your business. Sometimes people don't think out the box as far as ways that they'd be able to either generate additional revenue for their business or get revenue to start a business. And now we're going to hand over to Anna, who will tell us a little bit about what she does, how she helps businesses, and how you can connect with her.
Yes, as I said, I am a mental and emotional resilient coach. Resilience and really well-being are my key topics. I am actually currently writing a book. I've written a book about rewriting procrastination. One of the questions I've always asked myself is how come people want to do things and they don't do them? So it's been very interesting. It has been very interesting writing the book, which will be published the next 2 months, and by September will be on the shelves on Amazon. And literally, yes, you can find me on LinkedIn, and I also have a website which is www.readytomakeachange.com. So accountability and taking action and being responsible is literally what I promote and what I'm interested in supporting people with.
Fantastic. And we appreciate both of you. And I know we have other people watching. We will put the contact information in the description. As I said, our business conference is on June 10th at Redbridge Town Hall. You can Google Redbridge Chamber of Commerce on Eventbrite, and all of our events will come up. We have 3 key meetings per month. We have our in-person meeting, we have our online meeting, which is this, and we also have a subgroup meeting each month. This past week, we did one for solicitors and accountants. We'll be doing another one because that's our professionals group. We had a financial literacy mini meeting. So there's always something going on, and we're always open to business owners telling us what they'd like to see us do to support them. I appreciate everybody watching and everybody joining, and make sure that you like and subscribe. If you have a question or if you have a comment about anything that we've discussed, please put that in the comments, because that will tell YouTube and the algorithm that you are interested in what we're doing. And although we are the Redbridge Chamber of Commerce, so we are physically in the London Borough of Redbridge, our tagline is to think globally but act locally. So if you're trying to do business in Redbridge or trying to do business in London and you'd like to connect to us, please reach out. And we will see you next month. If not, we will see you on June 10th at the business